All right, we are going to get started here in about 30 seconds. We're going to give just a few seconds for folks to trickle in, and then we are going to dive right into I2M software updates. Tell me a little more what you mean, Casey. Does it affect payroll? There is a payroll program update, um, and we are going to talk tax table updates during the webinar this morning, and also PERSI rate changes. So if that's what you're asking, yes. If you're asking about other effects, not really. There's not too much else going on in payroll that would impact things right now. It's a good question. Oh, yeah, good question. So the short answer is PERSI rates, no. Tax tables, probably yes. And I'll show you how to do that during the webinar. And we can talk more about when to make those changes when we get there. Yeah, great question. All right, it is 12:01, so we are going to dive right in. Actually, it's 10:01 Mountain Time, but we're going to dive right in to software updates. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything, I just want to kind of give you a high-level overview of what I want to accomplish today in the short time that we have together. So this is kind of the high-level agenda of what I want to accomplish. First, we want to talk about the new ShareFile server that we're using to distribute the updates, give you a little bit of context about why we made that change, and then I want to show you how to use it so that you're not feeling completely in the dark. It's a little different than jumping into a Google Drive, but there's some great benefits to us using this new secure server. Then I will walk you through how to actually apply the updates to your computers. And then we'll shift gears a little bit. We'll talk about the state of Idaho tax table updates, and then we'll talk about PERSI rate changes. And if we have a little bit of time left over, we'll do some Q&A where you can ask anything that you are curious about software updates or otherwise, and then we'll wrap up our time together. So that's really how we're going to spend our time, is really just focused in on the software updates, the tax change updates, and then PERSI rate changes so that you, as Casey mentioned, can run your payroll smoothly this month and next month as things are changing just a teeny little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and start by talking about our secure file server. And you should have got an email this morning from us that details a little bit about where you can go to download the updates and what you need to do. And like I mentioned, this is a little different than what you've done in the past with just a Google Drive. And the very first thing that you need to be aware of is you're going to need to create an account in order to access our file server. And the reason that we're doing that is just to make sure that it's more secure. You don't have to worry about whether or not you're downloading the right thing from the right place. You can be confident that you're in the right place, downloading the right stuff. And the other benefit is you can see very easily that they were uploaded by me. You'll see my name is next to every file. Every single one says SCannon, and it's just to add a level of security, knowing that the update process is a pretty manual process right now. Ultimately, the goal is to make it a little more automatic in the future, but for the moment, you have to download the files and copy and paste them on your own. And one of the ways that we can ensure that you're not at risk of downloading the wrong thing from the wrong place is to have a very secure server. And what that means is we are asking everyone to create an account on our server. And I'm just going to show you a little bit about what that looks like. If you jump into our Help Center, all of this information that I'm covering is published and live in our Help Center. So the first thing that you'll need to do if you haven't done this already, and I know a few of you have already kind of gone through this process, is you'll need to sign up for an account. And I know that what you're probably thinking is, oh boy, another account with another password to remember. But trust me, it'll be well worth it just for the peace of mind knowing that you're getting the right files from the right place. So that's the very first thing. I will drop this link into the Zoom chat here, and you can feel free to follow along if you'd like. But this is what the process is going to look like. You'll open that link. It's going to take you to a form, and it's literally 4 questions. It's your email address, your first name, your last name, and it says company, but really what we want you to put there is the name of your school so that we know who you are and what school you're associated with. We just can't change the company title there. So you'll fill out those 4 pieces of information, and I will go ahead and demonstrate here. And what will happen when you click continue is we're going to send you an email that's going to prompt you to finish the account creation process. So when you fill out the form, it's going to tell you you've been added to the account for I2M, and then an email is going to get sent to your email box. And then you'll follow the prompts in that email to activate your account. That's really all there is to it. That's the sign up process. If you have any trouble, of course, reach out to me and let me know if something seems to not be working or you have trouble with a password or anything like that. I do have the ability to help you out with resetting passwords and getting things up and running. So once you create that account, you'll be able to access a couple of different things. And I'll just show you what it looks like from my perspective here. Now, you'll see on my screen, I have a number of different folders, and I'll just tell you this right now: not everyone has access to every single folder in our secure file server. And the reason for that is you don't necessarily need all of the things. Most of you are running the Postgres version of the software, so you'll have access to that folder, and you have access to what we're calling the software archive. And really, all that the software archive is, if for some strange reason you need to go backwards in time and run an older version of one of the applications, we're actually storing all of those in this archive. And again, I don't necessarily know why you might need to do this. It's probably fairly unlikely. But if for some reason you need to go backwards and run version 8.24 of Budget, you actually have that capability to download the old version, set it up on your computer, and run it. Again, seems unlikely that you would need it, but we're making it available just in the off chance that you would need to do something like that. The main folder, though, that most of you are going to have access to is the Postgres software folder. And for those of you that are not running the Postgres version of I2M, you'll have access to this other CISM version. And what you do is you can click into the folder, and we have 2 subfolders. It's your payroll applications and your budget and AB report. One of the challenges that we have with AB report is everybody has it set up a little differently. Some people put it in their budget folder, some people put it in a separate folder. Right now, we're just lumping it all together into a single folder. And if you click down into it, you'll see that you've got your AB report, you've got your budget, and then all of the necessary DLL files that most of you are pretty familiar with copying and adding to your computer. The main thing is when you get in here, download the files, extract it like you always have, and then copy and paste it into the appropriate folders. One of the things we're trying to do is make this process as simple as possible for you so that as you get into these folders, you don't have to try and figure out, well, do I need the DLLs? Do I not need the DLLs? Should they update? Shouldn't they update? What we're recommending to make your life easier is whatever you download in the folders from us, copy all of it over to your computer. And that'll take a little bit of the guesswork around what you should or shouldn't need to do in terms of completing the updates on your side of things. So even though this might be a little different than how you've done it in the past, the goal here is to make it as easy as possible. So whatever is in the folder, you're going to download it, and then you're just going to copy and paste all of it to your folder. And I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. So that's the main thing. You can click around our server here. You can't do anything bad or harm anything while you're in here. So feel free to poke around as much as possible. And if for some reason, once you get your account set up, you don't have access to the folders that I've shown you on the screen here, please let me know because that means I probably set something up wrong and I missed something and getting you the correct access to the right folders. So just send me an email at the support email address. Yeah, Kurt just sent me a message. Yes, everything that we're covering in this webinar, it's in the email that went out this morning and also in our help center. So if you're not taking notes, that's okay. It's all written down in a public place for you to view. So don't worry about taking notes or following along if we're moving fast. So in terms of how to download this, it's pretty straightforward. Once you get into the folder, you put a check box next to the thing you want to download, and then you click download. So in our case, I'm going to go ahead and download all the things. And you'll see here, it's going to take just a second as it works through the download. And this is the process that you all are probably pretty familiar with, or you've probably done at least a few times as you've done updates over the years. And as soon as it finishes, we'll jump to the actual process of updating. All right, so it's finished. It's landed in my downloads folder here. And what you need to do is right click on it and click extract all, which again, that's pretty standard for how you've done it in the past. And you just kind of click through all these prompts here and you'll let Windows do its thing. It doesn't matter what version of Windows you're running, the process is going to be the same there. Right click, extract all, and it's going to create another folder and it's going to give you access to everything that you need here. So like I mentioned, we're trying to make this a little simpler than what you've done in the past. And our recommendation is every time you download this folder, whatever's in here, you're going to copy this and paste this into your payroll folder. And the way that I like to do this is I open two File Explorer windows. So I've got my downloads folder here. And I just like to open a second window to make my life a little bit easier. And I put them side by side. And I just resize things so it's easy to look at what I've got on my screen here. And I've got my payroll folder pinned here. So I'm just going to click on my payroll folder. And all you need to do in order to perform an update is drag and drop to select all the files and then drop them over into the payroll folder. And what you're going to see here is Windows is going to ask you, hey, these files already exist. What do you want to do? You just want to replace everything. So click replace the files in this destination. Windows is going to do its thing. And here's a pro tip. Make sure you close payroll before you try to update. I'm running payroll right now and it's yelling at me because it's open. Okay, so it copied all the files and that's the extent of performing an update for the software right now. The one thing I will call out though is the next time that you go to run the software, Windows may give you what looks sometimes like a big scary warning like this. It says Windows protected your PC, all the stuff on the screen. All you need to do here is click more info and it actually tells you why it's giving you this. It's an unknown publisher. You just click run anyway. We are working on getting this particular issue resolved so that when you do these updates, you don't get this big scary blue screen. But for the moment, you're still going to see it. The main thing is when this pops up, click more info, click run anyway, and then everything's going to open up just like you would always expect. So that is the bulk of performing the updates right now. Download the folders, extract them, copy and paste the files to the appropriate folder on your computer, or if we have IT folks in here, if you're running on a server, you're going to copy and paste it to the appropriate folder on the server. So that's payroll. Let me show you just the one thing with budget and AB report, because as I mentioned, we're packaging budget and AB report into a single folder because it seems like most folks have installed AB report in their budget folder, which is totally fine. So you go through the process the exact same way. I'll switch to my budget folder and you're going to copy every single thing in here and then you're going to drag it and drop it. The one caveat that I will mention here is if your AB report lives in a separate folder for whatever reason, it doesn't matter, and it's perfectly fine that it does, you're going to have to do this 2 times, right? Once for your budget folder and once for your AB report folder, and then you're good to go. So that's the one little caveat. And if you all think it would be easier to have a AB report as a separate folder, let me know, send me an email and give me your feedback on that. Maybe this is too confusing having both programs in a single folder. Good question, Amy. Will dropping the files into the budget do anything weird? No, not at all. All it means is that the two programs are going to live in the same folder. If you know you really can't do anything wrong because your data lives in the Postgres database. So yeah, nothing weird to worry about. The only weirdness might happen is if there are two separate folders and you don't realize it. Your shortcut on your desktop might get messed up. But other than that, no, you don't have anything to worry about in terms of running them from the same folder. I like to run it from the same folder because it's one less place that I have to look for files when I'm working on something. Especially because AB report basically just pulls budget data for most everything that it's doing. So that's how I like to do it, and I think it makes it a little easier than navigating through a bunch of different folders when you're doing updates. So yeah, no weirdness to worry about. That is the bulk of the update process. And again, when you update budget and AB report, the very first time you run them, and I'll just show you again, it may give you that scary blue warning. Just click more info, run anyway, and then you're good to go after that. So that's a very high level overview of accessing our secure server, downloading the files, extracting them, and then copying and pasting them to the appropriate folders. Any other questions about performing the updates? Feel free to raise your hand, unmute, type it in the chat. All is fine. And again, I will call out, you may not remember all of these different things. Jump into our help center. All of this is listed in here. So if you forget how to update your payroll manager, I've got step-by-step instructions typed out that goes over exactly everything that we just covered, and it exists for all of the different programs. So and navigating through this is pretty straightforward. You get into the main page here, you pick which program you're trying to work on, let's say budget, and maybe you've forgotten how to download the updates from the secure server. There's an article to help you with that. Maybe you've forgotten how to update budget manager. There's an article to help you with that. And again, step-by-step instructions. So if you've forgotten any of this, it's okay. It exists in the help center. So, all right. If there's no questions, we'll move on to tax table updates. All right, tax table updates it is. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this for a second, close out of these extra windows, and open my payroll manager. And let's talk tax table updates. So the state of Idaho has issued new tax rates, and it's time to update your payroll in order to reflect those tax rates. I did some checking and to find out like if there's a specific date that the state of Idaho requires on their website. They explicitly mention that they don't have a specific date, just use the rates moving forward in your payroll. So Casey, I think this kind of applies to your question earlier, is when should you make this change? I would recommend you make this change as soon as possible, given that they said as soon as you know about them, apply them and use them with your payroll. So question number one is, where do you get the new tax tables? Well, you get it from our secure server that I just showed you. And you may or may not have noticed, but if you look at the payroll folder here, the new tax table file is the first file in the list here. So again, in order to get the new tax tables, you'll want to create an account, download the payroll folder, and typically copy this taxtable.csv file to your payroll folder so you have it for future reference. Once you've done that, you're going to jump into your payroll manager program, and we're going to go to other functions, and then you'll go to manage database. And once the manage database window pops up, you select import data, and on the import data window, we need to do a couple of things here. Number one, we don't need to import all of this stuff. So you're going to unselect everything, and then you're going to select just the tax tables checkbox here. You also want to make sure that the group role, if it doesn't say payroll master, make sure it says payroll master. And then from here, the easiest way to do this is to click this square browse button to the right of tax tables. And this is going to allow you to just quickly navigate through your computer to find wherever you save this tax table um, file. Again, I would highly recommend you just move it to your payroll folder. It makes it much, much easier to find, but it can literally be anywhere on your computer. Let's say you save it to your desktop. You just click desktop and you can find the file. But my recommendation is move it to your payroll folder because it's going to default there. So you'll select the file. So in this case, it's 2024-05 taxtable.csv. Select the file, and then you click open, and that'll fill in the path for the file. And then you're going to go ahead and click import. It'll literally take 1 second. You'll click OK, and then you'll close. And you can close the manage database. And the way that you can verify that this actually worked is you can go to Paychex, and when it loads, it will tell you the current tax table date. And in this case, it'll say May of 2024. And that's how you'll know that the new tax rates for the state of Idaho are going to be applied to your payroll. And that's really the only thing that you need to do in order to update those tax tables. Oh yeah, Lorraine, we will talk a little bit about that in just a second when we jump over to the PERSI rate changes. And just to be clear, what we just did has nothing to do with PERSI. This is just the state of Idaho income tax. Yeah, any questions about tax table updates? If you're, I'm looking at the list of names. I don't know if anybody here is still running the older CISM version of the software. The update process is a little different for that one. You don't have to manage the database. There's just a file that you're going to copy and paste to your payroll folder. And I'll show you that really quickly, just in case anybody's in here that is running the older version of the software. If you're on the older version, in the payroll folder, there is a tax table file in here that we've uploaded, and you just need to, again, when you perform the update, just copy and paste everything over. That's it. And your tax tables will be updated for the older version there. So yeah, as you can see, taxtable.dat, I uploaded that June 12th. Just by nature of adding the file to your payroll folder, the tax tables are updated. So no extra steps there. And I will call out again, if you don't remember how to do this, you get stuck or need a little bit of help, or you want step-by-step instructions, all of this exists in the Help Center now. So you can jump in there, look for update payroll tax tables. It's split up by version, Postgres here. It's got all the steps and a bunch of screenshots to kind of walk you through the process. The CISM version is a little different because, again, it's just copying a file to a folder. So that'll get your tax rates for the state of Idaho updated and updated correctly. Any questions about that? And if not, we will jump to PERSI. Okay. It's time to talk about PERSI contribution rates. So a couple things on this. Number one, the thing that you need to be most aware of is that these changes are effective July 1st of 2024, and they apply to employee earnings on or after July 1st. So the big note here, and I've got this highlighted in the Help Center, is if the PERSI beginning cycle date is on or after July 1st, then the rate change should be applied. So use the July 1st date to gauge when you need to make these changes. We'll talk about the if you have like 2-cycle employees or something a little odd or unique to your situation in a second. But the new contribution rates, you can of course find those on the PERSI website. That was linked. I linked that in the email that we sent out this morning. I've also listed them here in the Help Center just for ease of access. So these are the new rates for general members and school employee. I've got the employer contributions and the employee contributions listed here. And this is really, in terms of making the changes, it's really as simple as you need to, step one, update your benefit codes to the new rates, and then you need to update your deduction codes to the new rates. And I will show you how to do that right now. So we'll start with the benefit codes, and I am just going to split my screen up here to make this easier. And you'll jump into Payroll Manager, you'll go to Other Functions, and you'll go to Benefit Codes. Now, just for demonstration purposes, I have cleaned this up significantly with some fake data here. Obviously, yours is going to be far more populated than mine is. But the main thing is find your PERSI General Member benefit code, which is the employee or the employer contribution. You're going to click Edit, and then you're going to enter the new rate into the percent benefits rate box. And then you're going to save it. And then that's what you do there. Same thing for the school employee rate. Select it, click Edit, enter the new rate in the box, save it, and then that's it. Those are the two main rates that you're going to update, the general member and the school employee. You're going to do the exact same thing for the deductions, for the employee contributions. So I'm going to close out of benefit codes. You're going to go to Other Functions. You're going to go to Deduction Codes. And again, I cleaned this up for demonstration purposes. Yours is going to be significantly larger than mine, but you're going to select the general member. You're going to edit it, go over to the text box and enter the new rate, and then you're going to save it. And that's fundamentally the process of updating the PERSI rates. And again, it's on, if the cycle is on or after July 1st, that's when you want to make these changes. Now, to Lorraine's question, suggestions for changes, with different cycles. This is going to be very dependent on your particular school. So if you have very specific questions, I'm going to encourage you to send a support email so we can kind of hash out what that might look like. Just some general guidance in terms of what might happen if you have different cycles and you need to change the rates at different times. Your best option is to create additional deduction and benefit codes and apply them selectively to the appropriate people. So I have an example here. Let's say you have a cycle 2 and it's before July 1st and you don't want the PERSI rate changes to apply to this person just yet or these employees just yet. Create a new deduction code like I've done here, something like this, PERSI cycle 2 before July 1st. Put the old rates in and then go to your employee and add this as a deduction for them. And then you just have to remember to make the adjustment to the deduction on the employee after the fact. So that's how you would, again, that's very high level and it's not ultra specific to your situation, but this is kind of how you would do something like that. So you can create additional benefit and deductions to allow you control over when things are going to change. So my suggestion here is for your main deduction codes like this, the general member and the school employee, the one that's probably going to be applied to most everyone, make those changes on or after July 1st based on your payroll cycle. And then if you have additional kind of special situations, you're going to want to most likely create an additional benefit and deduction code, apply those to your employees, and then that's going to give you the ability to selectively change the rates based on the dates that they need to be changed on. And again, if you have very specific questions, it's probably going to be easier if you shoot me an email or give me a phone call so we can kind of hash out what would make the most sense. But that's the general idea. Is that you're going to create additional codes and then you can manipulate those codes at the appropriate time based on what you need to do. A little more work on your end as a business manager, but it'll allow you that kind of fine control over when the rates are going to apply and when they're not going to apply. So, but again, the main thing is July 1st is your date, and based on your pay cycle, that's how you want to make those changes. I know we kind of blew through that in a short amount of time, so I'm happy to answer any questions about anything that we've covered so far. That's really the bulk of what we wanted to cover in the webinar. A couple of other things I want to point out as you're thinking about questions. If you're curious about what actually was provided in the updates, we've talked a little bit about it in the email that we sent out. But again, and I keep pushing the help center here because this is where things are generally going to live, I'm publishing a change log in the Help Center. And what this is going to do is it's going to provide you a list of everything that is changing in the software with the most recent versions. I haven't published it just yet because I was tweaking it right before the webinar for a few things that I wanted to add. But a couple of high-level things that have been added to the software. New features include a 1099 corrections module for Budget Manager, a W-2 corrections module for Payroll Manager, which is something that lots of folks have requested. We're not going to cover it today because we're not really in season for that, but a future webinar we will talk about W-2s, 1099s, and the new corrections that are available in the system. And actually, if you do the updates today or in the near future, you'll be able to see and poke around those two modules, even though we haven't talked about them just yet. But there's a number of feature enhancements, things that we've improved upon, and a couple of bugs that were present that we fixed as well. So when this webinar is over, I'll actually publish the change log, and you'll be able to jump in there and get a sense of what all's been updated. So that's how we'll be sharing kind of a deeper analysis of what was added or improved in the software. All right, that's a lot of talking from me, so I'm going to pause for just a moment and give you all an opportunity to ask questions, software updates, tax tables, PERSI rate changes. I know we're right about time, but I have plenty of time to answer questions if you all have any. I'll stop sharing my screen. It'll make it easier for me to see everyone. All right. Questions, comments, concerns, wonderings. And it's okay if you don't. And if you have something specific that you're thinking about and you think it's a support question, email me, support@i2mfinance.com, or give me a call. And I will be happy to talk through updates, PERSI rates, tax tables, or anything else that you need help with. All right. They say 10 seconds of awkward silence is enough to conclude a meeting. So I think we're approaching that. Well, thank you all for joining this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure to walk through the updates with you. Again, if you get stuck with the file server, let me know, reach out to me. We can easily get through any problems that you might be having. If you need help with your tax tables, your PERSI rates, or anything else, I am here and available and ready to assist with whatever you have going on. All right, well, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And if I can help you in any way, please, please, please reach out to me. All right, thanks, everyone.